weather alert.
Thanks for joining us here live on Sky News Weather. It has just passed 10 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Now all eyes are on Tropical Cyclone Debbie, or it's still as a tropical low system just off the coastline of the northeast tropical coast of Queensland. Not yet developed into Tropical Cyclone Debbie, but forecast to do so towards the latter hours of today. Now, to join us for more and on an update on the cyclone and what to prepare for, we have the Sydney meteorologist from the Bureau of Meteorology, James Taylor. James, thank you so much for joining us. Now, first up, there is such large uncertainty as to when Tropical Cyclone Debbie will actually make landfall, and also at what category.
Yeah, absolutely. And the timing of this system will be intimately linked with the intensity. So the longer it stays out to sea, the more intense it's likely to become. The cyclone or the tropical low that will likely be named as a tropical cyclone probably sometime this afternoon is currently 680 nautical kilometres to the east of Cairns. And it's over sea surface temperatures that are around 1 to 2 degrees above average. So it's a lot of fuel with that very warm sea surface temperatures to drive the intensification of this system. And the other factor is it's an extremely good environment for intensification of the system over the next couple of days. The faster it moves towards the coast, the less likely it will become as intense. At this stage, the most likely outcome is for a coastal crossing of at least Category 3, and that's what we would define as a severe tropical cyclone, but there's every chance it could stay out long enough to become a Category 4 tropical cyclone. Now, the placement of the most likely crossing seems to be the lower Burdekin and Herbert coasts. And that is around the Townsville area. But anyway, between Cape Tribulation and St Lawrence, need to be prepared for impacts from a tropical cyclone with a coastal crossing most likely Monday night into Tuesday morning. But the onset of gales could happen as early as this evening, particularly for some of the exposed coast or islands off the Queensland coast in that vicinity. But it's probably more likely we'll see the onset of gales during Sunday, Nikki.
Now, there are also already preparations underway in the northeast tropical coast, which is great to see, but Queensland hasn't seen a tropical cyclone in 2 years. What sort of impacts are we expecting from Debbie?
Look, if we reach Category 4, we'd be looking at wind speeds in the order of 225 to 279 kilometres per hour. Now, that's the wind gusts. They would be very destructive. You would expect widespread damage associated with wind speeds in that order. Now, of course, that will, as I mentioned, will be highly dependent on the timing and how intense it becomes, but certainly a severe tropical cyclone, widespread damage from winds would be expected. The other impact is with flooding, and heavy rainfall is an issue with any tropical cyclone crossing the coast. The higher the intensity, the greater the rainfall in general. But at the moment, we'd be expecting at least rainfall totals in excess of 200 millimetres, and riverine flooding and flash flooding a particular concern, particularly around where that tropical cyclone crosses the coast. The other area of concern is abnormally high tides. We get very large waves with tropical cyclones, and the area to the south of the tropical cyclone crossing, where the onshore winds impact the coast, that's where you tend to get the largest surges and higher tides than normal. Now, the high tides are forecast to be around 8:30 p.m. at Townsville on Monday night and around 9 a.m. on Tuesday morning. So fingers crossed we don't get a tropical cyclone crossing the coast that's coincident with those high tides.
Very important, and a lot of impacts there to be considered. Luckily enough, people are already getting prepared. And one more question, James, I just want to know, because there is a lot of talk about this particular low, and once it does make landfall and move even further on land, it will actually stall for quite some time and impact the central and western parts of Queensland. So what sort of impacts are we looking at in terms of possibly the day or so after it makes landfall, and in what particular regions?
Generally, when a tropical cyclone crosses the coast, you see quite quickly they weaken, but the rainfall particularly for this system, looks likely to be a concern right through next week, depending on where the system moves. we'll still have very deep and onshore flow sourced from the Coral Sea coming in over the Queensland coast and into central parts of Queensland around the southern flank of this system, potentially through the middle of next week. But as you mentioned before, there is still quite a high level of uncertainty. Yesterday it was looking like that heavier rainfall through the middle and end of next week might move more through the northern part of Queensland. A lot of the guidance today is pulling that heavier rainfall more down through central parts and then potentially even southeast Queensland into northeast New South Wales towards next weekend. But look, over the next couple of days we'll have higher confidence with the movement of that system, and it's really important for people to stay in tune with the forecast and warning service, particularly in the next couple of days as this system gets closer to the coast and we can talk more confidently about the intensity and timing and placement of that coastal crossing.
Thank you so much for your time there. James Taylor from the Bureau of Meteorology, the senior meteorologist there, with an update on Tropical Cyclone Debbie, which is set to form in the afternoon hours of today. Still a tropical low just off the northeastern coastline of Queensland. If you have a look, and just to reiterate what James was talking about, that particular watch area is between Cape Tribulation and St. Lawrence. So inclusive in that watch area are Cairns and Townsville, which are the most populated regions that may be affected. If we have a look at the radar, you can even see already the motion of that tropical low and the moisture that it's bringing just offshore. Also storms popping up near the northern peninsula, but as we travel further down south, only a few showers or so, not too much wet weather going on in the rest of Queensland. Mackay picking up 1.6 millimetres of rain, but as we move closer to the northeast tropical coast, already feeling that moisture from that tropical low. Low Isles, you picked up 27 millimetres of rain since 9 a.m, and Mareeba, you've picked up 25 millimetres of rain. There it is, that tropical low eventuating into Tropical Cyclone Debbie will move closer to the shoreline of the northeast tropical coast as we go into Monday and Tuesday, and high level of uncertainty as to when it will exactly make landfall. But as James just mentioned, we are looking at the Tuesday as the most likely time it will, but even possibly across Monday is definitely still a possibility. It will bring heavy rainfall in excess of 500 millimetres of rain and then destructive winds in excess of 200 kilometres an hour. And if that's at a Category 3, and there is a possibility that will develop into a Category 4 as it makes landfall. Further to that, in the coming days following, it will also bring some heavy flooding and rainfall across the central and western parts of Queensland, and even some damaging wind conditions. Over in the west as well, we have a severe weather warning out for heavy rainfall for the Goldfields and also the Eucla. You can see on the radar it's been quite active across the early morning hours of Saturday and into the weekend across the northern regions of Kalgoorlie mostly. In terms of totals, Leonora has picked up the most in that Goldfields district. We've picked up 85 millimetres of rain since 9 a.m. yesterday. Laverton 58 millimetres of rain, and Leinster Airport, about 36 millimetres of rain. That low pressure system that's causing this heavy rainfall will start to weaken as it travels further down south and eventually offshore, but still heavy rain expected through the Goldfields and also the Eucla, and even crossing over in those southern coastal districts of Western Australia. So be prepared, and of course, as we always say, if it is flooded, please do forget it. Just taking a snapshot of the capital cities. Of course, we have a lot of wet weather about for the weekend across many of the capital cities. Perth itself, though, along the west coast, you're keeping nice and dry, 26 degrees behind a trough. And Adelaide, that is a place to be this weekend. 30 degrees for Saturday, 37. What a scorcher for Sunday.